Can meeting with your clients before their wedding improve your edits? Find out on today's episode. Hey guys, my name is Heather, and if this is your first time here, I enjoy doing films all about how you can edit your wedding films faster. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. So I want to know, do you think meeting with your clients before their wedding improves your edits? I'll be curious to know if your answer on this topic changes by the end of this film. You more than likely have done several weddings, maybe even hundreds, but when it comes to your clients, more than likely this is the first wedding they've ever done. Now when you think about a photographer, they usually do an engagement shoot with their couples before their wedding. I feel like this is very important to building a bond with your couples so that on the day of their wedding, you feel more like a friend than a stranger. And when my husband and I first started filming weddings, we decided we wanted to figure out a way to start building a connection or a bond with our clients before their wedding. Now, I understand this may not be for everyone, especially if you're one of those studios who do hundreds of weddings a year. But for us, we were a small boutique and we only took on a few number of clients a year. So building a bond with our clients was especially important to us. So not only did we meet with our clients before they even booked with us, but we also met with them within the week before their wedding. And to take things even a step further, we went to most of our clients' rehearsals. Now the rehearsal one I know may not be for everyone, and if you think that you would like to learn more about why we made that decision, let me know down below and I'll be more than happy to do a film based on that topic, because that's a whole other topic for another video. But the one thing that we discovered is meeting up with our client before their actual wedding helped them be more comfortable with us on the day of their wedding much more. They knew exactly who we were when we walked into the door. We knew exactly who they were, and they knew exactly what to expect from us. One of the things that I discovered is you can send a contract, you can email your clients all the information in the world, but there's something about sitting down with them and talking to them in person that makes a huge difference in conveying the information that I feel we needed to convey to them before their wedding day. Like I said earlier, for most clients, this is the first time they've ever had a wedding, much less have someone film them. So there's a lot that they probably need explained that they may not know going into their wedding day. Let's take a moment and talk about a few of those things that we like to bring up in that meeting prior to their wedding. One of the big topics that we like to bring up is the fact that lighting and having good audio the day of their wedding are the two major things that we need more than anything to make them a great film. Let's talk a minute about lighting. When we sit down and we talk to clients, we want them to know that throughout the day, we're gonna do our best to put them in a situation in which they're going to have the best lighting, which in return makes them a much better film. Starting with the beginning of their day, we like to let them know that we prefer the bride to be somewhere where there is natural light. And if they can let their makeup artist or hairstylist know this beforehand, it'll help us when we come in to start filming. Most of the time when we first get there, the makeup artist and the hairstylist have already begun to work their magic. And the last thing I want to do is say, hey, can you move everything from here to over here so that I can get better lighting so that I can film what's going on. If the bride is already aware of what's going on, then she can prompt the makeup artist or the hairstylist to be in an area that is more appropriate so that when we come in, all we have to do is start filming. Now moving on to the ceremony, usually we don't do much lighting as far as the ceremony is concerned, but if the venue has the option for different lighting options, we like to talk about that and make sure that we have something that's appropriate. And if something's really dark, then we will let the client know that we will do our best, because we always bring lights to our weddings and we make them aware that if we have to use our lights, we will. Going back to our own lights, the big one is receptions. A lot of the time receptions are very dark, and we want to make sure that our clients are very well lit so that we can actually see them and see what's going on. So the one thing that we discovered, and we make sure we tell our clients, is that we like to get in the reception room before they let everyone else in. And the reason we like to do this is because we like to set up our lights beforehand so that when people start coming in the room, they don't even realize our lights are there. Now, if you don't do this, we've discovered, and you turn on the lights once stuff starts happening, everyone seems to notice it, and you start to hear moans and groans. But if you do it before anyone walks in, they don't even realize it's there. This is especially important when dancing starts, because I don't know why, but it seems like as soon as they start to just dance, they want to turn the lights like off and you can't see anything. So if we have our lights on already, they won't know that they're there. And it's been a great lifesaver to see what's going on. And we want to make sure the clients is aware of this too, because we don't want the clients to be annoyed with their lights being on. We're usually only there for about an hour of dancing, and then it all starts to look the same. People start to get drunk, the dancing starts to get worse. So we will eventually turn off our lights and they could party the night away without being blinded by our light. But we just want them to be aware of what's going on and why we're making the decisions that we're making. Going back to the ceremony, one of the things that we point out to our couples, and we want to make sure that they are aware, that wherever they're standing, if they can't see the audience, then our cameras aren't going to see it. Their audience isn't going to see it. Now, honestly, this is really only a big one when it comes to doing some sort of unity candle or sand. So we want them to know that if they want that on camera, then they need to be behind whatever it is that they're doing. So that's another one that we really bring up and make sure that we point out. Thinking about ceremonies, another thing that we like to talk about is vows. This is one of the things that we actually talk to them about before they even book us, or at least we mention it. We don't necessarily go really deep in it. But if possible, their ceremony allows, we just let them know that when it comes to their vows, if they can write their own personal vows, it is going to help their films a whole lot by telling their own story in their own words. And if they do decide that they can't write their own personal vows, which we totally understand, we just like to remind them, which we know that usually on their wedding day they're too nervous to remember this, but we just like to remind them to say their vows slowly, take their time, and to breathe. If they rush through it, it can tend to get kind of mumbly. It's harder to understand what they're saying, and we know that they're nervous, so we just like to remind them to breathe and slow down. Their vows are very important, and just to enjoy that moment. Now, thinking about audio, another thing that we like to mention is toast. We do usually get whoever's giving toast on their wedding day, we like to get that email, and we usually send those people email just saying, hey, we're, blah, 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 we're there to film the wedding. We heard that you're going to be giving a toast at the wedding, and we would like to give you some tips on how to write your toast. Now, I've discovered that if they actually take the time to read this email, their toast could be so much better. It also may help relieve some of that stress of figuring out, I don't know what to say. So this kind of helps relieve that stress, and it kind of helps us so that we have better audio to edit our films too. We also like to let the couples know that we prefer, now this is a personal preference, we would prefer the person giving the toast to stand next to them. We do this for a few reasons. One of the reasons is because we like to make sure everyone is well lit. If they're just popping up wherever they're sitting when we don't know, people can pop up here, people popping up here, and it's going to be hard to light them. And so if we know where that person's going to be given a toast and we give them directions, we can make sure that one, that they're well lit, and two, that we're not like scrambling around to kind of readjust our shots or whatnot. We know exactly where they're going to be, and it has helped relieve a lot of that stress of I don't know where X, Y, and Z is going to be when they give a toast. And we like to make sure that we explain that to the couple. We also like to let the couple know that we inform the DJ or the band that we would prefer that, and they can make sure that that person does that. It helps us out tremendously. And for the most part, it has always worked in our advantage and has been very helpful. Letters. Letters can be a big game changer when it comes to editing their wedding film. This is especially true if they decide to opt out of doing personal vows. Letters can tell their story in a way that no one else really can, because it's them telling their own love story through their own words. So what we like to tell them is, if y'all do exchange letters, Please wait before you open that letter until we are there and we are filming. The next thing that we like to tell them is you've got two options. If you would like to read your letter out loud, you can read your letter privately to yourself and then read it out loud, or to read it out loud first so we could get your first reaction to it. Either way is fine, it's just whatever they are comfortable with. We also like to tell them that make sure that when you go to read your letters that it's in a quiet environment and that no music is playing in the background. First looks. First looks are becoming much more popular these days, and I'm fully on board. So we want to make sure this is something that we cover with their clients if they plan on doing a first look. One of the major things that we like to cover with them is that we like to film the actual first look only once, to make sure that we get their genuine reaction to one another. This also includes a microphone on the groom so that we can hear what they're saying to one another. Prior to the actual first look, since usually it is the bride walking to the groom, we like to film the bride walking towards the groom multiple times, usually 2 or 3 times depending on how far she's walking. The reason we do this is because we like to capture what's building up to that big moment in several different ways. And so this gives us that chance to get creative and to make sure that we get those shots. And this is something that we want to make sure that our clients are aware of. We also like to let them know that when it comes to the actual first look, that we like to back off a little bit, give them some breathing room so that we're not right in their face, so that they have that moment to themselves and that they can almost feel like they're alone. This is something that we also usually bring up to our photographers as well. Thinking of photographers, another thing that we like to make sure that we're talking to our clients about is having 5 minutes. Yes, at least 5 minutes, that's all we really need, but if we can have more, we'll take it, to get some creative shots of the couples during that portrait time of just the two of them. Usually when the photographer's taking their photos, they're really stiff, they're not moving a whole lot, and we want to make sure that we get some shots of them, moving and interacting and being a little more natural. Some of these shots we like to let them know that we can kind of fit in when they're transitioning from one location to another, like walking shots and whatnot. But that's just a few of the things that we like to make sure that we're bringing up to our couples and to make them aware that we need that time as well. The last thing that we like to make sure that we touch base with when we're at this meeting before their weddings is music. Now, music is something that we actually touch on at their first meeting with us, just so that they're aware of the expectations around the topic. And we also send an email within 2 months of their actual wedding talking more about this too. But we also just want to make sure that they understand that when it comes to music, we can't just use any music that they hear on the radio or that they really like or enjoy. We have to make sure that we're using specific music so that 1, we don't get in trouble, and 2, so that they can actually post it online and share it without having it taken down. So what we normally do, like I said, is about 2 months before their wedding, we send them the link to the website that we use. And we let them kind of browse the music, let us know of titles that they like or genres or artists that they like. We let them know that we may or may not use specifically what they suggest. Usually we do, but not always. But it really gives us a good idea of what they're interested in and what they like. And it kind of gives them a chance to kind of feel a little bit more in control of that area. But at the same time, we know that we ultimately have the decision at the end of the day, but we also want them to be happy with their film. And we try to make sure that they do this before their wedding day, because I know that after their wedding day, we tell them this too. They're going on their honeymoon, they're going to be busy, they don't want to have to deal with it. And quite honestly, we like to start rolling stuff out as fast as possible. And if they have their music picked out and they've informed us, then we can hit the ground running as soon as their wedding is over. That's it, guys. Those are a few of the topics that we like to make sure that we bring up with our clients before their wedding day, usually within the week of their wedding. I want to know, did I change your mind if you didn't think that meeting with your clients before their wedding can help you build a better edit? And if you already meet with your clients before their weddings, I want to know, did you learn anything interesting or new that now that you want to bring up with your clients? I really appreciate y'all's time, and I thank you so much for stopping by and watching. If you enjoyed this film, please give it a huge thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell so that you get notified each time I post a new film, sort of like this one. And we will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.